In this Knife Thoughts video, we're going to be talking about this knife. This is the Benchmade 940, and this video is a companion to the full Knife Thoughts article. So you can check that out at my website, knifethoughts.com. If you go to the blog section, you can find a list of recent articles, or you can just go to knifethoughts.com/blog. But either way, if you're looking for more of the specifics like blade length, handle length, all that kind of stuff, you can check out that article and also just a more in-depth discussion. These Knife Thoughts videos are more of a companion for if you would rather watch a video and see the action and everything like that, and also just a little bit quicker. So first off here, this video is being made after having written the article and in the wake of kind of some social media attention for Benchmade. I'm going to just totally steer away from that. Not really address it at all. And it's really, this is about this knife, not about Benchmade as a company or politics at all. So I'm just going to talk about the knife here. And this is the Benchmade 940, like I said. It is a Warren Osborne design, and it's been out in various forms since 2000. So it's been one of Benchmade's best sellers and really one of the most recommended EDC knives for almost 20 years now, and for good reason. Now, just to kind of get right to it, the main reason I think for that is a couple things. One, I think that this design makes for a good amount of usable edge in a really slender and easy to carry package. So you can see that there's about roughly a 3.5-inch blade with 3.5 inches of edge length. That's not exact. Again, you can check out the article for more exact measurements. But it's a really slender blade, and the handle itself also is really slender. So when you fold this knife up and put it in your pocket, it's really easy to carry. You can have it in your pocket, not notice it, and not worry about it until you need to get it out and use it. And when you do, despite having, like I say, a slender blade, it's a strong blade. You can see that the thickness of the stock goes almost all the way to the tip, and it's what Benchmade refers to as a reverse Tonto blade shape. Basically, it's kind of a drop point with a straight clip closer towards the tip than a normal clip point would have, and it has a lot of straight edge right here, so good for cutting cardboard and things like that, and then some belly and a pretty usable tip. So you get a pretty usable blade shape in a really slender package. As for the blade, on this one, it's S30V. They've done previous models in 154 cm. They have a couple other models. They have one that's a little bit more expensive and has a different handle material, carbon fiber, and S90V steel, which is, a higher end steel, higher wear resistance. But S30V is a good steel, kind of the first super steel and a really good all-around steel. But as for the handle, like I said, it's really slender also. It does give good ergonomics. So you can see that I get about a 4-finger grip. You can hold it in pinch grip and everything. And it just feels good because, like I've said in lots of my videos, a simple handle shape like this makes it feel pretty good. It makes for good ergonomics. Also, unlike some other really highly recommended EDCs, specifically for me, the Paramilitary 2, which has an upturn towards the butt of the handle, you can see that the 940 has a downturn. So despite the fact that I don't get quite a full 4-finger grip, it doesn't bother me because there's no upturned area there to kind of stick into your hand. So I like that about this handle. And oftentimes you do see this in the Paramilitary 2 in the same sentence when people are asking for EDC recommendations, and that's why I've generally preferred this over the Paramilitary 2. Now there are some downsides to having a slender handle and blade like this, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but the handle on this is green anodized aluminum. They have a G10 version also, and a black anodized aluminum version with a clip point blade rather than the reverse Tonto. But it has also a purple backspacer, and I really like this green and purple together. I think it looks good. It has partial nested liners, which are a requirement for the locking system and don't really make it any stronger. The aluminum itself is pretty strong there. But going to the locking mechanism, it is an axis lock. So that's the second thing I think that makes this knife so often recommended. The axis lock is just a really convenient lock. You can close it really easily with one hand without putting your fingers in the way of the blade. You can open it just by pulling it back and kind of, using wrist action to get it out there. You can do it with one finger, you can do it with both fingers, and it's just a really easy and honestly pretty fun lock to manipulate. So you can see that it works by having a bar that is pushed forward by two what they call omega springs. These are constant force springs, and as it opens, it pushes it back, so that's how the detent works. And then once it's open the whole way, it forces that bar between the tang and basically the liners. So that holds it open. And like I say, it's an easy lock to use, it's pretty fun to use, and it's proven to be pretty strong. Now, compared to something like, again, the Paramilitary 2, with its compression lock or even a back lock or really well-made liner lock, I think that this lock is probably going to have less longevity, or not maybe less durable, but a little bit more likely to have a failure, and specifically in the omega springs. So you can see that they're just really little wire springs there, and there have been reports of people having those break. Now, I've never had one break, I've never had one fail, but it's something to be aware of. I think it does happen more if you pull one of the sides of the axis lock at the same at a time rather than both. But it's not a big issue. Certainly, maybe it doesn't happen often enough to be a really significant issue at all, but it's just something to be aware of. I think that because they are small wire springs, they're a little bit more likely to end up breaking at some point in the life of this knife, which is another point that I'll get to, than a different kind of lock would. Now, that is one thing, though, that is the third thing that I think people makes this one of the most recommended knives for people, is that because Benchmade has such a good warranty and such good service, it really can make this knife a lifetime knife. So you can get this knife, and if it gets dull and you don't like to sharpen your knives, or it gets so beat up that you can't sharpen it, you can send it to Benchmade. They have what they call their Life Sharp service, and they'll sharpen it for free. Let's say you even break your blade or break an omega spring. They'll replace the omega springs and any other hardware for free, and they'll replace the blade even for a pretty low price. I think it's like $20 or something like that. So you get good service from Benchmade. It's relatively a quick turnaround time usually, and makes for a knife that you can have pretty much forever. Another thing with that is they are willing to send out deep carry clips. So this isn't a clip that comes with the knife. It comes with a more normal Benchmade clip, but they're happy to send out clips. And I think that it makes it even more low profile when you're carrying it and everything. So that's another reason, one of the three reasons that I think this is so recommended, is because Benchmade has such a great warranty and such good service. Now, to get to kind of the downside of being so slender is that as you can see, the thumb stud is really close to the handle, and there's not really any cutout here, so you can get underneath it like that and push it straight up to open it out. But sometimes if you're really hurrying, or your hands are wet or something like that, it can be a little bit awkward to open this knife with the thumb studs, just because they are so close to the handle that there's not much space to get in between them. But again, I think just like, the omega springs, that's a very small issue. It's not like it's going to be an issue where, you pull it out of your pocket and you can't open it. Your thumb might slip off at once like that, and then you get it. And I think that, again, it's not a huge issue. Just something to be aware of. Maybe with gloves, it'll be a little bit more difficult to open this knife than it would be a knife with a flipper or a spider hole or something like that. So it's just something to be aware of, although again, not a big issue. Now, one thing that I like about this knife, another reason that this is can be a lifetime knife, is that you see how deep this blade sits in the handle. So you're not going to have to worry about using up this blade because it is slender to the point where it's going to come above the tip. or I'm sorry, that the tip's going to come above the handle, because that tip does sit so deep in the handle of the knife, or frame of the knife. And one last thing that in recent years, maybe less so over the past year or two, but the kind of 5 years previous to that, there were a lot of complaints about Benchmade's quality control. Specifically two things. One, the centering, and two, the blade grinds. And I have had some Benchmade knives that did have bad quality control. They just wouldn't stay centered. They didn't come centered, and kind of had off-centered grinds, or uneven grinds. But that's not the case with this one, and I've had a few Benchmades recently, say the last year or so, and they've all came with good centering, good action, good lockup, and pretty even grinds. So you can see that the swedges, how easy it is to see it, but are pretty even on this knife. The grind itself, again, pretty even. The blade is, straight, the edge is straight and everything, and it's pretty close to perfectly centered. It's slightly off center, but it's pretty close. So really no big problems there. Good action. I adjusted a little bit, and I actually tightened it up a little bit, which I probably didn't need to, but still good action even after tightening it up some. So I haven't had as many issues, and I think Benchmade has done a better job over the last year or so with their quality control. So again, I think that this is one of the most recommended EDC knives because it's so slender and easy to carry, but maintains its usability. I think that it also is fun because of this axis lock, and then finally because it can be a lifetime knife due to Benchmade's service and warranty. So this is my thoughts, my knife thoughts on the Benchmade 940. Again, check out the full review or full article at knifethoughts.com. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. You can leave any comments if you have them. I always try to answer them. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and go out and do good.